Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And I just got back from seeing Evil Dead Rise in the theater as well. It was a movie theater that I don't usually go to. So that's why this review is coming a little bit later. Technically, by the time I'm recording, like it's about 10 minutes till 5, so it's the usual time my videos upload. But originally, I was gonna go see this at my regular theater until I found out that there was a showing at 1:30, which is pretty much immediately after when I get off work. And the theater was only 20 minutes away from where I work, so I decided, like, you know what? Screw it. I've never been to this theater before. A few of my coworkers have said it's a great theater. A few of my friends have said that's great, so I went over there. Real quick, the theater itself, I actually kind of prefer my old one. I mean, don't get me wrong, the theater I went to, for anyone who lives in my state, it's called the Palms. It is a great place. It's got like heated seats, and it also has like a recliner feature to it. But that's really all it has to it, really. Like even my theater that I frequent has that kind of stuff, or at the very least, it has the recliner. What? Actually, no, it has both recliner seats, and it also has heat warming seats, because that's one of the ones that I sat in when I saw the extended version of Return of the King like earlier this week. But anyway, enough about like the actual theater. Let's talk about the movie. So the movie itself was great. I walked into it knowing some of the stuff that happens. I mean, that's what happens when the marketing decides to spoil a bunch of crap in the trailers and the TV spots. But whatever. The story itself is great about how two estranged sisters reconnect. Meanwhile, the single mother of the two, one of her kids find the Necronomicon in the basement of like their high-rise building in Los Angeles. And of course, just like every other installment, they're stupid enough to read the Sumerian chant that summons the demon, and from there, all hell breaks loose, literally. The characters are great. I can't remember the actresses' names off the top of my head. I believe that I'm pretty sure the actress who plays the mother, Alyssa Sutherland, she does fantastic as like the main Deadite demon. And whoever plays like the new Ash Williams does a great job. She's a pretty cool character. I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel. I wouldn't mind seeing future sequels with her in it. The kid characters are all right, save for one of them. I found myself actually caring for like the youngest kid in particular. The music's pretty good. It's it's not anything remarkable like I heard in the Ash vs. Evil Dead series, but it's still pretty good, and it's still all right. The cinematography is also pretty cool. I remember a friend of mine who, well, not really a friend, but like a classmate of mine who works at a movie theater. He said that he saw the movie the other day, actually, and was talking about how, like, because Sam Raimi was just an executive producer on this film, he thought that there wouldn't be any of those, like, crazy camera angles, but he was surprised that they still had those, like, Raimi-esque camera shots. I mean, I figured they were gonna do that. I mean, it's an Evil Dead movie, like, you kind of have to have those, no matter what. Um, the lighting was okay, and this is one of the only times that I'm gonna compare this to the 2013 remake. Um, so I walked into this hoping that this was gonna be like the scariest Evil Dead movie that I've seen, and I don't know if it's just because I'm older or just because like I've just grown desensitized to these movies now, but I honestly, I still think that like the 2013 remake is still the scariest one, and one of the reasons for that is because I feel like they utilized the lighting or lack thereof. I feel like they utilized the lighting or lack thereof and the makeup for the Deadites like way more effectively in the 2013 film, where many of the shots are almost completely shrouded in darkness, and like you don't know like if the Deadite is gonna like come grab you or anything. Like especially that sequence that was in the basement of the cabin in the 2013 remake. Like that one was, I still think that was one of the scariest scenes of the film and of any horror film, to be honest. But here, I feel like there's too many scenes that are just like too well lit, where like you can see like almost everything that's happening like throughout the film. Like even though like really quickly on like the high-rise building like gets struck with a blackout, like there's still rooms that are still like lit either by candles or like jury-rigged lights, and even stuff like the hallways that are supposed to be like darkened. They still have like the bluish light to it, right? And normally I think that like if a movie is if a horror movie is done right, like it doesn't necessarily have to be dark to be scary. But this is one of the times where I actually think that that probably will have benefited by being a little bit darker, because just because of like the fear of the unknown, right? So that, and the fact that like I said earlier with the makeup, like I again with the Evil Dead 2013 remake, like the Deadites, like they actually look gnarly. I think I've said this in the in like that movie review a few days ago, but like when the characters in the 2013 remake get possessed, like they they seriously like destroy their own bodies. Like that one character Olivia, the one who was played by Tabitha Gallivan, I believe I said, from Gotham. Like once she gets possessed, she starts like cleaving her face off with a shard of glass, or the girlfriend character. She instantly starts like plugging her face and head full of nails from a nail gun. And like even the main character Mia, when once she gets possessed, she takes a shower under boiling hot water. But here in this new film, like all that really happens is the possessed skin grows like pale and gray, and then their eyes turn like a different color, or at least that's the way I saw it. I mean, there is one character where like if you saw the TV spots and trailer, like you'll know, but like there is one character where when they get possessed, like it starts with an infection that looks very similar to the one from Evil Dead 2, where like after Ash gets like his hand bitten and like black ooze starts coming out, like these black veins just spiderweb all across his fingers. And something similar like that happens to like an infected cut on the character's cheek, and then like they just start oozing this black substance out of their nose and ears and like eye sockets and mouth and everything, which looks cool and all, but like the possession scenes in the 2013 remake, like they actually made me squirm a bit, where like again going back to the whole Evil Dead 2 thing, like in 2013 when the girlfriend's hand gets bitten, like the black ooze starts coming out, and then like the entire arm just looks really like mangled and torn and everything. Like it just looks like it's decaying like within seconds, and it's constantly like twitching around, right? And here, like as shocking as it is, like again, I've seen worse in the 2013 movie. But anyway, the kills itself, they're pretty cool. I do remember reading one article or something where like where viewers were comparing it to Terrifier 2, and I honestly think that was a little bit of overhype, because the Terrifier movies, like the Terrifier films, like they really pushed the envelope. Like you got that one kill with like a surgical saw or whatever kind of the hacksaw. Sorry, the hacksaw. You got that one kill with the hacksaw. Yeah, yeah, you get like freaking gun kills in those movies that found a way to make a gun that found a way to make a gun kill like even more brutal than how gun kills are usually shown in film, like even in horror movies. Here, I mean, yeah, the kills are kind of gory and gruesome, but it's not exactly stuff that I haven't seen before. Like even the elevator scene that was in the trailer, where it's like filled with blood. I mean, they did that in The Shining, and they also did in It Chapter 2, which I'm pretty sure the elevator filled with blood was the reason why sources were saying that the movie used over like 10,000 gallons of fake blood or something like that. But I feel like I'm taking a dump on this film, and that's not the case. Like the movie was great all around. It's just that I feel like there's some people that just overhyped this as being like the scariest movie that they've ever seen, and definitely the scariest of the Evil Dead movies. And no, it's not. Especially kind of when there's actually a few jump scares that I think are unnecessary. Because like you know how like in some movies where like there's a jump scare and there's a spike in the music, and like you think something scary is gonna happen, but it was just a fake out. There's a few times, there's a couple times where that happens here. It's not that often, but they do rely on jump scares for like some of the actual scares. The only jump scare that I honestly think actually worked was at the very beginning, and I don't consider this to be a spoiler because it happens in the first, in literally the first minute, like as the opening titles are coming through, where like it's this first-person POV shot of something moving across the lake in the intro, where like something is moving across the forest and like going across a lake, and this woman on the dock like turns around and like screams, and then it cuts to a guy flying his drone to show that like that wasn't the demon that was coming for her. It was just a drone that the guy was using to scare her. And that's the one and only jump scare fake out that I actually thought like actually worked in this film. There's a couple others when the main character Beth shows up and scares her sister, and one other that has to do with a gigantic cross of with Jesus being crucified on it. That, as cool as the imagery kind of was, I didn't really think I didn't really care for it. And then there's one where the kids first find the Necronomicon bound in like this like sack or something, and there's something moving under it to make it look like the book is alive. So when they take it off, it's revealed that like all these bugs and cockroaches were just on it. And that's the one other jump scare that I think worked well. All the other ones, no. And it's weird because I actually laughed at a few scenes that I probably like should not have laughed at. But again, like I said, I'm probably desensitized to these movies at this point. Heck, I even rewatched the Evil Dead 2013 remake recently, and even then there were still like creepy moments. That's not to say that it's all jump scares, of course. Like there are some moments where, as a little bit of a slow burn, where the characters are like walking down a hallway or something, and some demon or deadite turns a corner behind them, and like they're out of focus, but you know they're there, and they just keep getting closer and closer and closer, or like they come out of like an air duct. So like again, you know that they're there, but the main character doesn't, and those were kind of cool. But again, like I said, not the scariest. It's not the scariest. It's definitely one of the bloodier ones. I still honestly don't think that's the bloodiest one. I honestly, I mean, maybe in technical terms, on gallons of blood, but then again, I'm not sure how much blood the 2013 movie used, and like that one has a scene where it was literally raining blood for like a straight 5 or 10 minutes. So I don't know, maybe that one used more. Let's see. There's only really a few more things I can talk about for this one. Bruce Campbell does have a cameo in this film. You don't see him, you do hear him. I'll be honest, if I didn't know the voice role he was playing, I honestly would have missed it. But like I was paying close attention to hearing his voice, and like once a sequence started that featured a character that was somewhat related to what Bruce was doing, that's when I really paid close attention. And even then, like, I nearly didn't catch it. So if you're looking for the Bruce Campbell cameo, like, you really gotta keep an ear out for it. There's really only a couple other things that I have that are a little bit nitpicky that actually do have to do with the story, sort of. The first one is a little bit of a spoiler, so I'm actually going to leave that at the end. But the second thing is like towards the end, when there are these dead bodies in the hallway that are chanting "Dead by Dawn," which right before I get to this, like I do love the callbacks to like all the films, like no matter how minor they are, like obviously you got callbacks to the first film with, I mean, the sister being possessed, first of all. The second one, the Dead by Dawn line, and there's probably a few others, but I can't think of them right now. Army of Darkness, there's a couple lines that are repeated from there, and then the 2013 remake, because I honestly think that this movie shares the most, has the most in common with the 2013 film. But maybe that's because they came out 10 years apart. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, while the Deadites are chanting "Dead by Dawn," um, the main characters make their way back down to the parking garage, right? And only a few of the Deadites follow them, and the rest of them stay in the hallway. So, and this is important for later because at the end of the film, it does show that like there were a couple other people living in that high-rise building. So what happened to those remaining Deadites? Because the main characters never went back up to that floor. So whatever happened to them? Did they keep like wrecking havoc or something? And then the really big one that kind of is a bit of a spoiler. Although if you watch the trailers, that kind of give it away anyway. So the way they find the book is this earthquake, right? That happens like in the parking garage, and the oldest kid, the guy, I think his name is Danny. He goes into this hole that the earthquake created, finds this really old bank vault, and from there he finds this section of the vault that has like all these religious crosses and Pentecostal coins that are just littered on top of the tomb, and that's also where the Jesus crucifixion jump scare comes from. So he finds the tomb broken, and he finds the Necronomicon. Right, he takes it back to his room, and he can't get open at first because it's like the book clasp are these like animal teeth, which I'll get to that in a minute. And he can't get it open until he accidentally cuts his finger on the teeth, and because his finger is bleeding, like the droplets of blood land on the book absorbs some of the blood, and that's how the book opens up. And then from there Danny like starts looking through the pages of the book, pulls out some of the vinyl records that he found from there, and like starts listening to what they're saying there, and from there is when the demon gets summoned, right? And while that is a cool way of the demon getting summoned, in that instead of like audio tapes that Professor Nobi had in his cabin, like in the very first movie, it's summoned through a vinyl record, which honestly kind of makes me think of that episode of Constantine where the devil's voice was found on like an acetate vinyl record. But anyway, as cool as that is, I feel like it makes that specific character even stupider than that one guy in the 2013 movie. And I know I've been comparing this movie to the 2013 remake, but this is the last time, I promise, because it's the biggest issue. And I do kind of understand that, like, basically the series is built upon people making stupid decisions. Ash found the book and the tapes in the very first movie, in the 2013 film. That one guy, Eric, who I think is a college professor, he finds the book wrapped in barbed wire, opens it up, reads it aloud, and here the kid finds the book and listens to vinyl records. And it might seem a little bit tied because like Danny is still a kid, and whereas Eric was a college professor in the 2013 film, but I don't know. I just feel like there were way more red flags in this movie about not taking the book, right? I mean, it's buried in a bank vault. Well, sorry, it's buried in a tomb that's covered in crosses and Pentecostal coins and a giant crucifix, which is also buried in an underground bank vault. And once he gets the book, the way that's opened is he has to cut himself and let blood fall on the book. And even then, when he listens to the vinyl records, like I don't know how many there are, but like the very first one, the person who is recording himself speaking on the vinyl record, he's with like all of his friends or whoever, and like you can hear in the vinyl that everybody is telling him not to read the book. There's even this one guy who stands out who says that it's called the book of the dead for a reason. Don't read it, right? And still, this kid is so stupid. He still listens to the other vinyls and basically lets the demon get summoned. I'm sorry, but I think that is way worse than Eric in the 2013 film, like finding the book wrapped in barbed wire, and then like reading the words himself, despite the warnings on the book saying like don't read it, don't think it, don't write it, or don't say it, or whatever it is. But I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that he's a teenager that balances out, but I still think that the reason why the person summoned the demon in this film is way dumber than the previous installment. About the book, though, I believe the director Lee Cronin did say that this book was one of the 3 books from the Army of Darkness, where that scene where Ash is in the graveyard, and he finds 3 copies of the book, and they each do like different things. Like the first one he finds is basically like a black hole that sucks him in, and the second like is alive and it bites him, right? And it can also fly. And then the third one is like the actual copy that he takes. I honestly, I think that the copy of the book in this film is the one that, given that it has teeth as the book clasp, I think that this is the one that bit Ash. Which I think the director did say that that the one from the remake is also from Army of Darkness. I mean, I'm not sure if Sam Raimi or Bruce Campbell confirmed it, but it does. That theory does hold a little bit of weight, considering that even in the film, during the vinyl record, the person who was recording his voice, he did say that it's one of 3 volumes of the Necronomicon, and that kind of lines up with the 3 copies of the book that were found in Army of Darkness. So if that's true, I mean, awesome. I mean, that definitely has some potential of taking the series like in any other direction. Like, they could definitely make an anthology series where like they could do a sequel with Beth and all the other main characters. They could do like a sequel to the 2013 Evil Dead remake. And even though Bruce Campbell said that he's retired, Well, back in 2018, he said that he retired Ash Williams. Like, there's a chance that he could come back as Ash. Like, maybe not as like the Ash Williams who was from maybe not the Ash Williams that we saw back in Ash vs. Evil Dead, but like maybe as like an older and wiser version of the character. I don't really want to compare him to Luke Skywalker because I don't really think that Lucasfilm respected him in the sequel movies, but definitely along those lines. But I don't know, it'll be great to see like future installments where they can just hop around from like different corners of the world or like different moments in time. Like, I mean, heck, even if they made a prequel starring like starring the Nobis, like Raymond, Henrietta, Annie, like I'd be down to seeing like a prequel movie of like the Nobi family finding the original Necronomicon back in Castle Kandar, and then like they're with all these other professors and archaeologists, and they accidentally summon the demon, and it like possesses Henrietta, and then Henrietta goes on a rampage before Raymond just locks her in the cellar, and like that would line up perfectly with the original film. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts on this movie. I'd love to hear anybody else's, and definitely go see the film, because even though it's not the best in my opinion, it's definitely not the scariest. It's not. I mean, it's still a groovy movie. So, all in all, great film. I definitely watch it again. Just temper your expectations a little bit, and don't let the hype get to you. Because if you think that if you think that it's gonna be like the goriest horror movie like since the Terrifier films, or like the scariest since the remake, you're gonna be slightly disappointed, even though it does cross some lines and kill some kids. But that's it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Actually, I'll see you guys on Wednesday night, because I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts about my experience at Bruce-O-Rama. So I'll see you guys in the next one.